Alright, Jarvis, right now we're looking at a portrait of Queen Elizabeth I, who ruled England from 1559 to 1603. It's one of the longest and most important reigns in English history. You might notice, though, that she doesn't really look human here. We could throw up our hands and say, okay, that's because painters of the time couldn't really paint realistically. But this painting dates to 1588. Both Raphael and Michelangelo had both lived and died before that. Okay, we might say, but that was in Italy. But Van Eyck was painting lifelike portraits a century earlier in Bruges. Her father used Hans Holbein as a court painter, and her half-sister had realistic-looking portraits during her reign, which was earlier than Elizabeth's. My point is, this portrait could have been more lifelike. So why isn't it? Before Elizabeth was queen, portraits of her looked more realistic. But look at this, her coronation portrait. Now look at this, Richard II's coronation portrait. I think we might have our first clue here. Elizabeth did not inherit an easy situation in England in 1559. Her father had dissolved Catholicism and its monasteries in England just a few decades before. Her half-sister had tried to rebuild it, earning her the moniker Bloody Mary. Elizabeth inherited a divided kingdom at a time when Europe as a whole struggled with its religious identity. There was a civil war in France, wars for independence in the Netherlands, and revolutions throughout the Holy Roman Empire. Perhaps by grounding herself with England's powerful medieval monarchs, she could look beyond religious struggles and rebuild English identity on its heroic past. So let's look back at the Armada portrait and figure out what exactly makes this painting seem unrealistic. First, she seems like she has massive shoulders. Maybe that's trying to remind us of who her father was. Let's look at the windows behind her. They tell the story of the Spanish Armada and its attempt to invade England. The Spanish felt that if they removed this evil Protestant woman who had bewitched England, they would allow England to return to Catholicism. The full force of their powerful army was set to invade England when an unexpected storm scattered their ships, many of which crashed on the shores of Scotland. So the events happening outside of those windows show two different times. The ships, as they pass through the Queen, are scattered and broken. That's clever. Now let's look at the objects on either side of her. A table to the left and a chair to the right, but neither of them look really right here, because they're both viewed from two different angles simultaneously. It's almost like the Cubists more than 300 years later. There is no intended location for you to view this portrait. It will never look quite right. At least with paintings like Holbein's Ambassadors, if you stand looking down at it from the top right, or up from the bottom left, you can see that seemingly distorted skull undistorted. Here we are forever trying to figure out our special relationship to the painting and to its subjects. And there's the rub. Queen Elizabeth existed outside of a set time. She appeared in many spaces at once. It unsettles our sense of space. She exists at all times, and she occupies all spaces simultaneously. This is the iconography of ubiquity, of empire. A crown and a globe emphasize these points, and England during her reign built the foundations for the future British Empire. We can see that in this image. Later portraits of Elizabeth, like the rainbow portrait, further these themes as well. I mean, she's wearing a dress decorated with ears and eyes here. She sees and hears everything. That's a strange one. Anyway, speaking of England, I'm going to be spending the summer there and making videos similar to these, but about artisanal cheese production, while working with Quick's Traditional. I hope you'll follow those adventures as well. And of course, I'll keep making my art history videos too. Please subscribe to see all of that.